This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexi Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hey there, guys. This is the Digital Demi God, Kenzein, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James J., and it is a great day for wrestling because we are wrestling with the Digital Demi God, the Winfluencer, Kenzein.
Woo! Thanks so much for that awesome introduction.
Absolutely, we like to do it big on Wrestling With.
Great. Well, yeah, thanks so much for having me. My name is Kenzein. I've been a professional wrestler I've been on and off for about 10 years, and mostly working in the Nordic region, primarily Stockholm, Sweden. And with two promotions that I regular, which is Stockholm Wrestling and Freedom Pro Wrestling. And we have a show coming up next Saturday at Slagskyrkan at Stockholm Wrestling. Don't know exactly who I'll be facing right at that time, but I'm sure that it'll be fun. It'll be entertaining. I'll get to dab on some folks. Get to show them my in-ring abilities and just how much I've been growing for the past year, and I'm really looking forward to that.
All right, and where can we find the Winfluencer on social media?
Yeah, of course. It's Kenzein_pro wrestler
and
on Instagram.
And merchandise?
Have none at the moment. I'm working on it actually as we speak. So keep an eye out for the socials. And I've been starting to stream lately on Twitch. So Kenzein on Twitch as well. You can find me there. I'm usually just playing a little bit of Tekken, a little bit of shooter games with some friends. So if you like that stuff, come join in.
And we will put a pin in that for the time being.
Yeah, cool.
Let's
cool.
Let's start with wrestling questions before we get to the video games.
Sure.
You mentioned that you work for Freedom Pro and Stockholm Wrestling. Can you tell us about your relationship with those companies?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, Stockholm Wrestling is kind of where I got my foot in. That was that is my home promotion, you could say. Learned a lot from there, and like I said, I've been doing this on and off for about 10 years. So that's kind of where I kind of got into the business. Got to face a lot of interesting people. Learned a lot from the other wrestlers at Stockholm Wrestling. And then only recently with Freedom Pro Wrestling, I've gotten a bigger role there, working really directly close with the promotion and helping set up shows and managing a bit of their backstage stuff, as well as trying to do something different for wrestling in Sweden. We focus mostly on families and kids, right, because there's not a lot of that around at all. And the fans starting. I'm sure you probably started loving wrestling when you were a kid as well as most people have.
Oh yeah.
And so they also need that entertainment, I feel. So I think that we're tackling we have the Stockholm Wrestling, which is primarily for adults and is the typical grimy, grungy kind of wrestling scene. And then we have the Freedom Pro Wrestling, which is more geared towards entertainment, comedy, but of course with still quality wrestling in the forefront, because families and kids, they need that too.
Right. It's kind of like Stockholm is the ECW to Freedom's WWE per se.
You could say that. You could say that. For sure. For sure.
Now you mentioned, you've been wrestling for 10 years on and off.
Yes.
Could you maybe tell us, what made you, take the break from pro wrestling and what ultimately brought you back?
Right. Well, I started wrestling. So I was a fan for all my life, and a friend of mine told me that there's a promotion and that they have tryouts and that we should go try. And obviously, like when you're a kid, you're just thinking like, yeah, I want to do pro wrestling when I get older. But then as you grow older, you maybe get a little bit jaded, and maybe you're just like, oh, realistically, that's never going to happen, and all these things. My friend was really adamant to go because he didn't want to go by himself. So I was like, yeah, okay, fine, I'll come with you. We'll test it out, and if anything, it's like, I tried wrestling. That's like a bucket list kind of thing. So we went and we tried it, and then just being in the ring and learning everything, that I got hooked immediately. And I did it for several years after, but at that point I was still kind of like juggling work and other things. I didn't put a lot of time into it personally, and then throughout the years I got a child, and then I kind of just said like, well, I should probably like hang it up for now, and maybe let's see if I get into that later, but like I got to focus on my kid. So I took about a 2.5 year break, and then I just, after a while, just got the itch for it. Talked to my like old trainers, and like the scene had changed a lot since I stopped. So there was like a lot of new people, a lot of young blood, a lot of like a complete different shift in like mentalities and stuff like that. So I was like, yeah, let's give it a try, and I came back in, and then since then I haven't been able to let it go, and I'm happy I didn't, because I feel like these past 4 years now in my wrestling career, if you want to call it that, has been absolutely tremendous. Like I've grown so much in character and my technique and even my ability to perform. So super happy that I came back, and I still want to keep doing this as long as I can.
That's really awesome. Being a dad, has that changed your perspective on your pro wrestling that you maybe didn't have prior to you, when you first started?
Yeah, I think I obviously you wanted to keep your body healthy because you want to be there for your kid when you're going to play and enjoy your time with them. So obviously that's always in my mind, like whenever there's something like if we're planning matches or something, like I don't want to do something that might risk injury or anything like that, because I don't want to rob my daughter of that quality time. So obviously I try to think a bit more, but then obviously it's like you're still a wrestler, so you still have not all the common sense in the world, so you do sometimes take a few hard bumps, and you just figure that that'll work itself out, it'll be fine. But I think mainly because with Freedom, it's this emphasis on entertainment for the kids, and I think like having that perspective with having my own kid, knowing that there is this avenue that kids aren't always afforded when watching live wrestling in Sweden. So a lot of, I think like a lot of that thought of having my own kid, she's been to a show of mine as well. She didn't like it, which is always typical whenever you're the person that has the hobby and you're trying to get your kids into it and they're not really that interested. But maybe when she gets older, she might like it more. I think she's more just like, I don't want to see my dad get hurt, which is always sweet and completely understandable. But yeah, I mean, being a dad and it's like you have a little bit of self-preservation that maybe you didn't have when you were just single or didn't have anything to look forward to try to play with your kids, for example. and then yeah, just like the aspect of trying to give a show for the kids as well. I really appreciate kids when they want to like take pictures and they like want to high five and stuff like that. And I don't think I would have that perspective of being a dad, especially when you have kids and you want to give them like fun experiences in life. So definitely an awesome experience.
And you mentioned being a dad, self-preservation, not wanting to take the hard bumps. That being said, how did you find yourself in a four corners of death? Fans bring the weapons.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, let's just say like self-preservation is like probably the thing that falls out the first thing when you're booking a match. Like you always go in with this expectation of like, yeah, but it's a Saturday, so Sunday I got to do this with my daughter. We're gonna go out and we're gonna go to a trampoline park, and then a show day hits, and then you're there and you're talking about like, okay, so we're doing a death match. All right, so I'll hit you with a keyboard, and then you just drop kick me in the face, and so all that kind of just disappears, because in the end, what you want to do is entertain, and you want to make sure like the stories fits, and maybe you want to add some comedy or whatever, and that sometimes you don't. That self-preservation part of you kind of disappears, and you just kind of, okay, let's just go with this. I'll take a suplex on the outside, or yeah, you can spear me on the stage, or yeah, you can just fold me up, and then you just kind of go for it, and then you just hope for the best, that everything will go smoothly. And I mean, the reason why we practice and train so much is so that we don't get injured, and so that I can actually have a good time with my daughter on the following Sunday. So yeah, it's just that thing where you kind of have to carpe diem a little bit, and then
Right.
just go with it. Yeah.
Okay.
I should have said YOLO. I feel like that's so on brand for my character, but I went more like sophisticated.
Oh yeah. But can you tell us about the four corners of that fans bring the weapons that match?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I mean, I had never been in a match like that before, a hardcore match, and obviously, me being with my character, having like all the peripherals, keyboards, and all that stuff. That was very like fun to try to think of how to incorporate that into the match. I mean, it was kind of like, what am I getting myself into? And you have those thoughts of like, maybe wrestling is like a bit more than I bargained for. But I mean, going into it, it wasn't that bad. And like you're just so full of adrenaline, and then you just take the hits, and then you keep rolling with it, and you have a good time, and you make connections with the people in the ring and with the crowd. So it was just one of those things where you just got to roll with it, and then it'll turn out great. Like just kind of have that mentality of that this will be a fun experience, and if anything, like this will be a learning experience. Especially just like having the crowd just go bonkers over like me. I think it was that match where they glued my hands to the keyboard. And so that was kind of just like a fun thing we could have played with the fans with. Like I was so just desperate to use my keyboard all the time.
Right.
So it encompassed that into the match, and I think it worked out great. Although I had to, painfully scrape off all the glue from my hands after that. So maybe in hindsight, probably could have done it a little bit better. But I mean, I had fun. I was enjoying it.
I mean, I feel like the real rivalry happened before the match happened, and that was because you wasn't on the poster.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily see that as like something too like a heinous action or anything like that. Like sometimes that stuff happens, and I don't mind. I think what I want to kind of convey instead is that when I'm in the ring, that's when it matters, and that's what people will enjoy and come to see. So like even though we kind of played with it a little bit, thought it was just kind of funny. Like I try to use any situation like that to kind of turn it around and like use it into the match or something like that. So yeah, that was just kind of fun.
Now, one of your most recent matches was against Marcus of Man, the man that's essentially spearheading the scene in Sweden right now.
Yeah.
Can you tell us your experience being in the ring with Marcus?
I mean, Marcus is like he is like a ring general in Stockholm. I feel like he's incredibly patient, incredibly takes care of you. Like is very open to suggestions and working with Marcus is like fantastic. I mean, he's one of the trainers that I've been working with for a long time, and like him and I are friends from back in the day, like when I first started, and so yeah, I mean, it's always a pleasure working with Marcus in every shape and form that he's in. Whether it's so always fun. I really enjoy it, and in Freedom we're having a little bit of a kind of a rivalry right now, so which has just started. So I'm kind of looking forward to how that turns out and what kind of matches we can put together. Always a pleasure work with Marcus.
Oh yeah,
and he's definitely spearheading like the scene in the Nordics and really trying his like hardest. Just knowing him, like he really cares and loves wrestling, and he really wants it to succeed in the Nordics, and so like all the appreciation and admiration for all his efforts.
Oh, without a doubt. It's it takes a lot of gumption, I would say, to start the very first school in Sweden for pro
100%.
wrestling.
Yeah. I mean, it's very. I mean, like wrestling. I mean, as you probably know, is still very niche and still very small in the grand scheme of things. And I mean, you'll have better luck of course in the UK and the US to start a school, but doing it in Stockholm is tricky. And you want to have a good rotation of like new people coming in. And teaching them the business, but also doing it in a way where you're not doing it we've all heard horror stories of schools, in the U.S. and everywhere in the world, and people quit because it's too hard or it's too, they kind of got more than they signed up for. But I think like how Marcus is taking care of it is fantastic. Like people are having fun, like people are making friends. And we're like we're learning to be safe and proper, but also like get in character work and things. And we have this huge crop of new people coming that's wrestling now that it's super cool to see kind of the results of all that patience and training and that Marcus has been putting in to all these people. So I'm incredibly like proud and happy that it's going somewhere for sure.
Absolutely. It has seemed like there has been some buzz and boom when it comes to the area as of the last like year or two.
Yes, I mean there's so many like new names. Like like Ozzy Miller is probably like one of the bigger success stories, I would say, from like steel tracks and from the Stockholm scene. And like I think that kind of speaks to that. You put in the time, you put in the effort, and you have good trainers and teachers that can get you there, and then you can make it, in the Nordics or in Europe or wherever you put your head and your mind to. So, and there's new people cropping up all the time. People that have maybe like prior experience in entertainment or prior experience in some sort of martial arts or an athlete of some kind. So we're trying to hone that in to build something off of that, so that that can be used in Stockholm or Freedom or any other promotion in the Nordics. So I'm really like putting all my eggs in the basket, if you want to call it that, for steel tracks and the scene in Stockholm especially, but also in all of Sweden.
Oh yeah. Now, you had a tag team match with Lexi Luxx, which is probably one of the best tag team names of all time, Rebooty.
Yes, thank you.
Can you tell us about Rebooty against the Bearded Brothers?
Yeah, I mean, so like Lexi, we thought of like how do we like make this, like we're kind of like an oddball tag team, you know, like we're not like Bearded Brothers where they have like this kind of, you know, they're both bearded and they're both brothers, and so they have this bond, and so we tried to play on like this thing where, you know, Lexi is obviously like this toxic you know, character, and we kind of played with like, well, my character is like very much like this online, like maybe chronically online person, and so we played with that, like me kind of wanting to impress this girl, Lexi, but she's like obviously not good for me at all, but I'm still just like, let's work together, and so we came up with the name Rebooty. We thought it was fantastic, and yeah, and like facing the Bearded Brothers was fun. We got to like try to use a bit of our comedy with like trying to tell that story of like me trying to work with her and she not being necessarily very interested in that, but like still trying our best together against like these two kind of one big hulking bearded man and the smaller, speedier, like technical person, and just trying to tell like this story of
They're both very large.
How they're both pretty, yeah, they're pretty big, especially Mika. He's a power lifter as well. So so and obviously like when you have that story of like these two teams, one of them is like obviously this bigger force, and then you have us, Rebooty, like, which are, you know, maybe horizontally challenged or vertically challenged. I mean, and but like us using our brains and trying to cheat our way, and Lexi using her sexiness, and me trying to like impress her by trying to also use my sexiness, and it backfiring on us. And yeah, it was super fun. I had a really good time.
Well,
and you've had Lexi as a guest as well, I've seen. So
yes,
like, you know how she's a fantastic person.
Oh, definitely. That being said, do we think that there will be a reunion of Rebooty?
I don't know. I mean, future, we'll see. I mean, we still both frequent Stockholm wrestling, so I mean, who knows? Right now, it's like I'm taking a kind of a different path in my character, and she's like aligning herself with the authoritarian regime of Stockholm wrestling. So maybe our paths may cross in the future, but maybe not as teammates. Maybe as something different. Well, who knows? Yeah, we'll have to wait and see about that. But I think it's fun that we have that little story that we could always like go back to if anything should pop up. We could always like remember Rebooty, like, hey, you know. So and then we kind of like ended the tag team in a way where I was she'd like ghosted me, and trying to like reach out to her, but maybe now I've learned a little bit better about how to like not like be desperate for women online, and maybe that's a lesson you can teach the people like in the crowd, like, oh, it's good that you have some dignity maybe and stuff, but it's just kind of fun. I like playing with that kind of expectation. People know that as well, like from people being online, they know about these kind of folks, so kind of good to like encompass that into the character a little bit. But now I'm more like I'm more turning towards a kind of maybe a good person. Who knows? We'll see.
Well, you did redeem yourself. Most recently winning the Lights Out Royal Rumble, no?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, we were in Gothenburg for a show at Lights Out. I had a fantastic time there. We get to wrestle with a lot of the folks from Malmö and Denmark, and pretty much like a lot of people from Europe and Valor especially. So that was super fun. I got to work with Lucius Amrock, and that was a really fun match. We tried to build something with that match because we were like the first one on the card, and then we had the Lights Out match or the Rumble match at the end. So we tried to tell like this cohesive story with the things that happened in the first match, and then leading to that Rumble win, where it was me and him at the end, and trying to do like a bit of callbacks to the previous match in the night. Which was super fun. I got to do some new things that I had never done before, and ultimately just having the kind of the honor to win that match was something that I think is like it's a bookmark moment in my wrestling career. So very, very happy, very proud of that match. Very thankful for being able to be the one that comes up on top, but I obviously can't do that without everyone else that's in the ring. So it's super great.
Oh yeah. Now, you also wrestled in Finland.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that experience? Because Finland, as new as Sweden is to wrestling, Finland's a little bit newer, I would say.
Yeah, and the Finnish scene is like growing like crazy, and it's a different ball game over there. I was first when they asked me to come, I was incredibly like happy. That was the first time I had been booked outside of Sweden. So that was obviously like a very big monumental experience for me to have to travel and go to a show and meet new people from in a different country. That experience was probably one of the most defining moments for me as a person and as a wrestler. We went through some training aspects of it. We did like a lot of kind of these theatrical training and breath control training and like psychology training and things like that, which is very beneficial to me. Like how we build matches, how we perform. Their kind of focus is a lot on the performance, on the character as well. But they're also like incredibly athletic and very impactful. But I got to meet people like Shemeka, who's like a legend, and Regina, who is very knowledgeable on how to kind of prepare your character, like how you present yourself to the crowd and things like that. So and something that really like stuck with me was like, we're wrestlers. We don't wear t-shirts when we're performing. We don't wear like these things. And previously I had worn a t-shirt because I was kind of like insecure a little bit of how I was presented. But they said like, no, we don't do that here. And the reason is that you're the performer. If you're wearing a t-shirt and the guy in the front in the crowd is also wearing a t-shirt, how do you differentiate yourself with that person? Ooh. And that kind of like opened up a lot in my mind of like how I should present myself as a character, and that like taking off your shirt and just going out there is that's what makes you different from everyone else that's come to see you. And ever since then, I don't wear a shirt in any of my matches anymore, and it's like fine, like nobody cares, like it's and people are just like happy to see that you're like coming out there and perform. So that boosted my self-confidence a lot. So big like wins for me mentally in wrestling from that trip in Finland. And I got to work with fantastic people. We had 2 nights or 2 shows in 2 days. So that was super fun. Very intense, but like got to work with amazing people. I would love to go back there and work with them again. But I have really good relationships with everyone there, I feel.
Did you see like any difference in like the crowd reaction compared to Sweden to Finland?
I would say like the Finnish crowd is probably a bit more fanatical in the sense that they know they know chants, they know characters, they know story. You know, like they follow the product, and we have people like that in Stockholm too. But a lot of the Stockholm crowd, I would say, is very much maybe a lot of them are experiencing it for the first time, and a lot of people come there and know some of the story and some of the characters, but there's also a lot of new people that come in. So, I mean, just from my short stint in Finland, the crowd was very like into it, and they were cheering and very vocal. But the Swedish crowd and Stockholm crowd is vocal too. But I think it's just a different way. You know, Finnish people are very very passionate as well. You know, so yeah. So I think it's like they're both cheering, but it's like a different kind of sound, if that makes sense. It's like a different feeling.
No, I understand. I get it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that brings us to Kenzein's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
That's a good question. I mean, I would say like luckily I've never had a bad road story or like road experience. Whether it's going to Finland or whether it's going to Malmö or Denmark, like the people that I travel with have been super funny and fantastic. I would say like if there's anything I would pick out is coming back from the Finland trip with the folks from Sydsvensk Wrestling or SVS.
Yeah.
That I don't think I've laughed as hard in my life ever on that trip home, because we're on a ferry from Finland to Stockholm, and it's like a day trip, and obviously like 2 days of very intense training and shows. And all the bumps and all the bruises and all these things that's going on, and and then all of it kind of just gets released after the show, and you're on your way back from on a boat. You're just so relaxed, and it was me, it was Seb Silvers, it was Topalovic, it was Ozzy Miller, and we were just walking around on the boat, just making fun of everything, just laughing at everything. We came to a point where we just started naming WWE wrestlers in Swedish, like either like changing their names directly to Swedish or like adding some words. And I think we were just crying, laughing. Like we were literally on the floor of the boat, like just holding our stomachs with tears coming out of our eyes. And like, it's one of those things where maybe it wouldn't be as funny as it was when we were if I were to like explain what we talked about, but because I think we were just all so exhausted and tired and like beat up, and you're just very goofy at that time. It was like absolutely one of the best like experiences I've had traveling, for sure. And anytime I see one of those guys, we always like look back at that and just like laugh at how funny and how great that was. So nothing like weird or like strange, but like just that I felt like that bond really like got solidified after that trip, just because of how absolutely fantastic it is. One of the guys bought like a bottle of rum and then realized that when they're flying to Malmo, they couldn't bring that bottle with them on the flight.
Oh no!
So they had to drink it all. And it was like 2 liters of rum, So we were like, oh my god, do you need help with that? Yeah, it's just absolutely fantastic experience. Really, really funny.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Not a,
And just like 6 guys in a small, cabin in the ship, just laughing it up. Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
well, this wasn't a bizarre adventure for you, but it might have been a bizarre adventure for when you had a road trip with the reluctant Polish Adonis. No.
Apollo said, "Oh right, yes, yeah, that was fun." We had we were trying to Stanislav he's a really funny guy, and he's really he loves comedy, but he's also very I don't know how do you call it. He's just kind of has this twang of seriousness and more I'm so done with this shit aura.
Yeah.
That is so funny to just kind of poke at and do things around him that he's just kind of sighs and look and rolls his eyes at, and just kind of doing that whole skit with him. And just coming up with ideas for the whole trip, oh, we should do this. Oh, when the elevator opens, we should do that. We should all be constantly waving at him and happy-go-lucky while he's absolutely miserable and just wants to go home and just be by himself. That was fantastic. I haven't seen that video in a while now, so just now that you said it, I was just oh right, and then just reminded of all these things. And he was also the one really optimistic about oh, we should do this, we should do that. I'm yeah, we should act like that. It was fantastic. He's a great guy. He's also been doing this for so long. If he's listening, I just wanted to say congratulations on your new addition to the family. So he's gonna be pretty busy at home, I think.
Oh yeah. Big congratulations to him as well.
Yeah.
The one that got me in all of those was that you were all in the bathroom and you was just waving at him. It's so bizarre.
And we're just everywhere he would possibly go, we would be there, and just making him more depressed, and just fitting all of us in that time. You can barely fit one person in a bathroom that small, so it was just kind of squeezing us all in. That was fun. Yeah.
All right. Well, we talked about it at the top of the show. Can you tell us about your Twitch stream and your love of video games?
Sure. So I guess I could start with my love of video games because that reaches way further back than my Twitch streaming. I guess the first time I ever we had a computer when I was 2 years old, and I've always been tech interested since I was a kid. So I would unscrew pretty much anything that had a PCB in it and learn and try to figure things out. And we were running a computer with MS-DOS and Windows 3.1 at that time, and that kind of kickstarted my whole gamer journey, I guess. I grew up playing Super Nintendo, and then later the PlayStation, and then later Xbox, and then I just kind of started collecting consoles, kind of as a hobby, kind of as a way to fuel my passion, and I been playing games all my life. Most recently, most of it has been on PC. I'm a huge PC gamer. I'm also, I work in IT personally, so just tech in general is very interesting and a huge passion of mine. And with the Twitch streaming, that was something that I had done a while before, and wanted to get into, but then obviously when you have kids, like you kind of have to put some things aside.
Right.
So I put that on the shelf, but like only recently been picking it back up again because I figured like now there is a way to kind of to have like my daughter's like 8 years old now, and she's like obviously knows about streaming and streamers and YouTubers and all that stuff. So I think for her it'll just kind of be fun if I was like to know that her dad was like also doing that. But I find it fun to just kind of use that entertainment aspect that I've learned through pro wrestling and hone through it and just kind of translate it onto Twitch as well. My character Kenzein that was an amalgamation of all these like wrestlers that are doing Twitch streaming now. Like if you look at Adam Cole or Apollo Creed or like these huge wrestlers that have moved from wrestling or does wrestling and does Twitch streaming as well.
Right.
So they started off in wrestling and then went to Twitch streaming. And what I thought was like, what if the opposite was the case? So what if you have a Twitch streamer that goes into wrestling? And that kind of was like the birth of Kenzein, and how can I fit that into a character or someone with a backstory? It's like, well, all these wrestlers are coming into Twitch and taking my spotlight that I have on Twitch. So I'm gonna go into pro wrestling and I'm gonna take their spotlight from where they are, and I'm gonna dominate them in the ring as I do online. And that kind of like, you know, that the spark of that character kind of came from that, and trying to like have this aversion or this like hate for wrestlers because they try to come into this place that I was the dominant force of, and now I'm gonna go and do the same to them, make them feel like what I felt. But then through that time in wrestling and learning it and doing it, like I kind of become more a wrestler than I am a Twitch streamer. Like my transformation of the characters to be like, oh, okay, this is like this is very artful, this is very difficult, it's very challenging, and you need to have the right mindset, and you have to have the gumption, as you said, to be able to do it and like find a respect of doing professional wrestling instead of being like this obnoxious Twitch streamer that thinks he's better than everyone just because he can run a stream, you know. So I tried to marry a little bit of like what my passions are, like gaming and like and the wrestler. So yeah, I hope I answered that question, but it went a little bit on a ramble. But yeah, I mean, like huge nerd. I'm just a huge nerd, I suppose. For wrestling, for gaming, you know, movies, anime, all that kind of fun stuff.
Oh, we'll get into anime in a moment.
Oh, nice.
But tell us about, you know, what's your go-to games? What's your favorite video game?
So like my absolute favorite genre is point-and-click adventure games. I was a huge fan of like the LucasArts games and the Sierra games back in the day.
Okay.
Like King's Quest, Secret of Monkey Island. Secret of Monkey Island is like my favorite game of all time. And that was like also my first game I ever played. So maybe there's a bit of like nostalgia biasism in there, but I just love the comedy. I love like that you have to think and figure out puzzles and stuff like that. And I think that formed a lot of like how I have a lot of comedy kind of anytime I go into a situation, my brain automatically goes to comedy, even though it's not always appropriate. But yeah, I mean, but I've been playing, you know, like shooters. Right now, I'm kind of getting into Valorant, or I've been playing Valorant for a while. Tekken 8 is just released, and I'm a huge fighting game fan, so I've been playing a lot of Tekken 8, and of course, I'm playing as King, because you got to play the wrestler in any fighting game that if you're a fan of wrestling.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously, but you know, Dark Souls, Elden Ring, like I like third-person action games. The Devil May Cries, the Monster Hunters. I mean, like, you know, if it's good, I'll play it. Like, I don't have any biases into any genre. I would probably say like the only thing I don't necessarily play that much is like sports games. Obviously, wrestling games. I have pretty much as much as I could get a hold of. I've imported games from Japan, like the what is it called? The New Japan games, the Noah games, like Oddball PS2 games from Japan. I have all the SmackDown games. I have all the Raw games, WrestleManias. Some on the Super Nintendo, some on the NES. Like, I try to get my hands on pretty much any wrestling game I can. So that obviously helped a lot with my passion in wrestling. So just being able to learn the moves from the games, like what they're called. Yeah, that was anything under the sun.
It sounds like you have a bit of a collection of wrestling video games.
Yeah, I don't know if this I don't know if the video is going to be used in any way, but like if if you I'll show you my whole like collection of stuff. Like, it's all hidden because obviously my partner is not a gamer, but and so she probably wants to have some sort of niceties in our apartment. So I said okay to like hiding it in cupboards, but they're all very easily accessible. I have all my consoles are above my computer. Like, I have 2 shelves, and I just put them up there just to kind of show off the collection a little bit. Yeah. If that's anything, if that's anything that I have a collection of, it's video games, and yeah, it's growing, keeps growing.
Have you compared your wrestling game collection to Liu King Shop's collection?
I haven't, but when we spoke about it, we really like nerded out a little bit, and I told them about like the Japanese games that I imported. Like, some of them are from like Squaresoft, which is like, oh, they make RPGs. Why do they have a wrestling game? So it was like fun conversation. So I told him, like, next time he's in Sweden or in Stockholm, he has to come over and we got to have like a night of just playing games. That's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. Just get everyone that is like interested and just have like a night, and we just like go through every single wrestling game and just kind of like enjoy it, play it, have some drinks, some snacks. But I mean, yeah, that would take
a good time for a Twitch stream too.
Hey, that's not a bad idea. I'll note that down, actually. Thanks for the idea.
Well, you mentioned it. Tell us about your love of anime.
Well, I mean, it started off when I was a wee little boy. I started off when I was a teenager, actually, and I think, I can't remember like what my first anime I watched, but like the thing that I remember sticking around for is probably like Naruto was the one that everybody was watching, so I started watching it as well, and then that kind of kickstarted my whole passion for just like downloading anything and everything I could find and just burning them on discs, and then just like, oh great, now I have this collection or this anime to watch whenever I have time, or I have this to watch. And I just watched everything, which was like really not good, like, because I'm just still kind of trying to find my foot into like what kind of stories I like or what kind of genres of anime. But obviously, like Bleach and Naruto and these things were kind of the ones that kickstarted it for me. My namesake in Kenzein is actually from Fist of the North Star. There's a character called Kenshiro, which is one of my favorite animes of all time. And so I just took his name, Ken, from to put it into mine, and then I just used the Zane part as part of my last name. So I put the two together. So I have anime to thank for at least the name of Kenzein. But yeah, Fist of the North Star, one of my favorites of all time. And like just recently read through all of the Berserk manga. I bought like the deluxe editions of these big thick stacks of black on red books that look absolutely demonic and amazing, and I just read through them. That was super fun. So now I'm a huge fan of that, which also fueled my love for Dark Souls, because like they are like if you play Dark Souls, you know that there's tons of Berserk references in it, and using big ass swords, and yeah, so it's just all like this self-feeding process. I play games that feed into my anime, that feed into my wrestling, and that feeds into game. It's just like this vicious cycle that I don't want to get out of. It's just amazing. And so like nowadays I don't watch as much anime as I used to when I was younger. So I'm much more selective with that. Obviously, I don't have the time to do it with like having a full-time job and wrestling and a child. So I'm very like selective with what animes I watch, and but I've been trying to also get my partner into watching it as well. So we watched like the Castlevania series on Netflix, and she really liked that one. I don't know how much I can like push my luck and like showing her like One Piece or things like that, but
Maybe not start with the one that's 1,000 episodes.
no, it's a pretty hard sell, I think. But then you start that way, you say like, well, this one is like 1,000 episodes, and then she's like, no way, and then you're like, okay, but then let's just watch something that's 24, and then that becomes way more acceptable in her eyes because we're not doing the big thing, So right. maybe I'll get her into watching Death Note or some Full Metal Alchemist or some classics.
Now you're speaking my language.
Yep. You're a big anime fan as well?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, great.
I'm currently 470 episodes into One Piece.
Damn, 400. What arc is that?
Moving forward.
Moving forward, okay.
Oh, Marine Ford, where he saves Ace.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is all right. Well, then I don't know how much you know, so I won't like try to spoil or I accidentally spoil anything.
I kind of know what happens already.
Oh, okay.
I know what happens. I've seen some of the time skip. So.
Okay. All right. Well then, then you're further than I am because I think I stopped at like Dressrosa arc. I think it's called.
The Don Flamingo.
Yes, exactly. So that's where I stopped because I felt a little bit of burnout after the arc before. I think it went way too long, and then there was a bunch of yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a big fan of Punk Hazard, so I just kind of like just trudged my way through it, and then there was a bunch of fillers, and then I just kind of like, and then Just Rosa started. And I was like, okay, great. It's finally started, but I kind of need a break. And then I just haven't really gone back to it. And now I'm just looking at this mountain that's growing ever so bigger every week and every month. And I'm frightened. So I just haven't picked up One Piece since then.
Honestly, I would rather, let the episodes pile up because it only took me like maybe a year and a half to watch 400 episodes. So...
Yeah, but when you say it like that, it doesn't make it sound any better. It only took me a year and a half of my life to catch up. Not like halfway through halfway through the show, like 40% of the way. It took a year and a half. So yeah, no, but that's hilarious.
I could watch like my current running. The way I'm watching, I'm only watching one episode a day, so it's
okay.
A bit of a grind,
Fair enough.
But
for sure,
if I watch 2, let's say 3 episodes, I'm gonna kind of get burned out after a while.
That's fair. Maybe that's a smart thing. That's probably the smartest thing to do. To also like not get ahead of yourself and get to the end quick. And then you're at the pain of waiting every week or every month or whatever for yeah. So good on you.
Like especially like when you're in those like slower arcs like Punk Hazard or Dressrosa, but like Water 7, like I could watch 15 episodes in a row because that was just good shit.
Yeah. When you're actually like looking forward to what happens next.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm also watching.
Well, great. I'm happy to hear that you're like also a huge fan of anime, and it sounds like you're also a gamer as well. Gaming.
Oh yeah. Right
Okay,
now I'm
good.
playing Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty.
Yeah, yeah. How are you liking it?
I love it. It's one
Okay.
of my favorite games of all time. It's such an immersive experience. I
Yeah,
know a lot of people shit on Cyberpunk because how it, came out, but
yeah.
I played it a year after it came out on the
Mm-hmm.
Xbox X, so I didn't
Oh,
run
okay,
into
yeah.
those issues.
Right, right. I played it on PC the week after it released, and even with all the bugs and the flaws, I still like played through the whole game and loved it. So I was just like really, really looking forward to Phantom Liberty. But I haven't started playing it yet. I played maybe like 2 hours of Phantom Liberty, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so awesome! Like, I have to continue." But I don't want to like blow my load too quickly on like playing it. I just want to take my time and like enjoy it. So I'm gonna jump into it again after in a little bit. I have the game installed on my computer and everything. I'm just like, it's that one of those things where you just want to have like 6 hours to yourself. You know what I mean? Like just to like sit and play that one game, just get into it.
I
So I'm waiting for that opportunity.
I completely understand what you mean. I literally had
Yeah.
that conversation with myself today. Like
Oh,
I
really?
I only had like an hour of time before I had to do something else. I was like, I
Mhm.
really want to play Cyberpunk, but I don't want to play Cyberpunk because I know I'm not going to get my fill in that hour. I need to savor the experience. Need to let it flow.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a drop in and out of kind of game.
No.
Like it's like you're in it. It's an RPG. You got to be in it. You got to be fully immersed. The awesome cyberpunkiness.
How did you feel
great.
about the new upgrade the skill points because they
the skill-
completely changed that the skill tree.
I don't know. Like I'm not sure yet. I kind of was hesitant at first. Like I thought it was like, man, they're changing so much, and like I really liked my build that I had before. I was just like, gorilla arms, like freaking like just beats everything up, and just I think I had my what did I have? I had like a like specialization in pistols and SMGs, and I didn't do like hacking very much or anything like that. So I'm thinking like with this change, maybe I'll give hacking a try just to see if that's much more like fun or alluring. It wasn't very like alluring to me back then. But yeah, I will see. We'll see. Like I'm like hesitantly optimistic, if that makes sense.
The one thing I hated about it is that it limits your body modifications. So you can only have so many, and that really pissed me off.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if how you do the weapons, but I have an upgraded version of the Lizzie gun, the pistol.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I just maxed out everything of on the pistol tier, and I was like one shot would kill everybody. Like it was very god tier things. So I was like, shit, this isn't gonna be as good because I already had those mods on it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I fixed everything and I got the skill tree to where I needed it, and then I just pulled the trigger on Lizzie and everybody died. So I was very happy.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. I feel like there was a lot of power fantasy in the versions before, because I feel like you were just OP like all the time. You were just unstoppable force, and I think like maybe they were like, well, maybe we should balance that a little bit. I kind of understand why they did it. So it's fine. I'm sure it'll be like fine once I kind of get into exactly how I want the character to be. It'll be great.
Did you ever play Borderlands 3?
I didn't. I was a huge fan of Borderlands 1, and like playing it with friends. That was kind of like the main selling point for me. It was super fun, and I just never kind of got back into Borderlands after that. So and I heard that Borderlands 3 is like really, really good. So I just need to find a group of people that want to go back and play a game that released like 2017, I think, 2018.
Well,
When was Borderlands?
Borderlands 2 is arguably the best of the series. And
That's what I've heard as well.
yeah, so you need to, and if you want to play Borderlands 2, you're going to have to sink a lot of hours into it because it is a grind.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot
Okay.
of things to do in that game. Borderlands 3, if you're just looking for, casual fun, then it's
Yeah.
great for that. The story isn't as good, or
Okay.
as developed. But there's a character, the character I chose was, I believe her name was Mose, and you
Okay.
jump into the on bear mech, is the power up, and
Uh-huh.
literally you just push the trigger and everything in front of you dies.
Okay.
Like the big boss, you just see their
Yeah.
health bar chip away.
Just like defueling, just like going down.
Exactly.
Was the second one the one with Handsome Jack?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so I did play Borderlands 2. Yeah, Borderlands 2 is the best. Is so good. Yeah, and that's just because of Handsome Jack. I think he's one of the best video game characters of all time. Like in any like game, I think he's incredibly funny, really deep, also really tragic,
And
and like
still
the
an
just
asshole.
still an asshole. Like you love to hate him. Like I mean, like if he was a wrestler, he would be like one of the best heels ever.
Oh, yeah.
Like you just you love to hate him, but you can't hate him completely because he's pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Alright.
I'm sorry if we're getting on this tangent of video games and anime. I don't know how much of this will like resonate with the fans of your podcast, but like I mean, it's always just fun to talk about like nerdy stuff like that.
No, absolutely.
I enjoy it. I'm sure there's a lot of people that like, if you're a wrestling fan, you're a nerd, and like that's not a lot of steps to go from wrestling. I mean, wrestling is anime, isn't it? Like everybody's like this everybody's this like characters, and they're very what's it called, animated. They all have moves for their names. There's storyline. I mean, wrestling is anime. So if you like wrestling, you love anime. Like that's how I see it.
New Japan is basically just one big tournament arc.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Literally and figuratively, a tournament arc.
They always
Yeah, so
have tournaments.
they do. But man, tournaments are great because tournaments are a really good, easy way for you to get two people to fight each other that don't necessarily need to have a reason to fight each other, and you get awesome matches or awesome stories from that. So, a huge fan of tournaments in wrestling, just because it's like, oh well, like I want to see this wrestler face this wrestler, but they're never gonna fight because they're like either they're both faces or they're both heels or they're both like have nothing to do with each other story wise. But then you get that match because people like are looking forward to it, and so tournaments are perfect for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. Let's get into a new topic.
Sure.
Can you tell us about your tattoos and if there's any significance to them?
Oh, sure.
Significant meaning, I mean.
Yeah. Well, I think there's like one tattoo that I have that is incredibly visible and significant to me, and that's I have kind of the power button symbol on my chest over my heart, and that's my first tattoo, and I got that on a lunch break at work. I ran to a tattoo parlor, and then 40 minutes later, I had this mark on my chest, and went back to work, and then continued working, and didn't tell anyone because I kind of just wanted to keep it a little bit of a secret, and yeah, I just kind of felt like nobody's gonna understand it. But I mean, obviously, the power button or the power symbol is adamant or very important for me, or reflects kind of my passion for tech and just IT in general, and yeah, just nerdiness. And I have it over my heart because, like, close to the heart, it's a passion of mine. So that's probably the one that's the most like visible for everyone. So that's one that I like. I thought I would regret later in life, but as far as I've kept going, it's like resonates even more. Like my full-time job is I'm an IT manager, and so like that's just kind of been like not only my passion but also my work. Like I take pride in that as well. So very, very happy to like have that one. Maybe I'll do something around it. Like I'll add something around it to like encompass it more, like with the tech and stuff. And especially it works with my gimmick because like Kenzein is also just like kind of a techie, kind of a nerd, kind of internet person. So I think that works pretty well. And then I have some tattoos on my wrists. I have like the full eclipse. What is it called? The lunar eclipse, the solar eclipse, an eclipse. And that's mostly just because I like stargazing. I like the moon. I'm kind of fascinated about like the universe and stuff. So when choosing this tattoo, I was just more like, I want a moon. I want a tattoo of a moon on me. But I don't know which version of the moon I want. Do I want a full crescent? Do I want a half crescent? Do I want like a new moon? And so I was just like, I'll just get them all. I'll just get all the moons. And I'll just put it around my wrist to make it more like of a circular motion, So, yeah, that's that. And then I have one more tattoo on the nape of my neck or on the back of my shoulder, which is... this one has a very deep meaning for me because it's a pair of angel wings, and it's like the angel on my shoulder, and between the wings is the letter D, and that D is for the two closest people in my life. They both have names that start with D, so I just feel like those two people are like kind of the angel on my shoulders that I could never live without. So that one's very meaningful to me, just to have that. To kind of honor them in that way. And then I was thinking about getting one on my other shoulder with the devil wings, but I have to first find a nemesis for that, and I haven't really made any nemesises, thankfully. So I'm reserving that shoulder for that maybe if I find someone that I really, really hate. But luckily that hasn't been the case. So I'm not aiming for it as well. But yeah, that's all the tattoos I have. I really want to get more, but it's just really hard to kind of justify the cost and especially when you have a family and all these things. But maybe in the future I'll get it like a sleeve or something. I wanted to get a Monkey Island tattoo for the longest time of the character Guybrush Threepwood somewhere on my body. I want to get some pixel art stuff. And I also want to get like galaxy stuff, like stars and like, yeah, my favorite color is purple, so I might want to get something in that, but in due time.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a pyramid eye tattoo on your leg, no?
No, I don't actually. I don't. Although, not a bad idea. No, I don't have any other. I don't have any other tattoos.
Okay.
Or as far as I know, and I haven't seen the back. Is it on the back of the leg? Because I haven't seen that in a while. So
I believe so.
No. I don't have any other tattoos.
Okay. Oh, that's weird. Maybe it was your opponent. I saw that on.
It could be. I'm just trying to think now. Who has a pyramid on the back of their? Ah, well, I could think about that forever. So.
Like the pyramid on back of the dollar bill.
Yeah, like the Illuminati pyramid. Yeah, with the eye in the middle, I think. Yeah. No, don't have that. That must be. And now you just put like now I have to go look at all the people's the back of their legs now. Like every person that I'm wrestling, it's like, is this the person that James was talking about? Oh no, he doesn't have a pyramid. Okay, never mind. I'll move on to the next one.
I really wanted to know. I have to go back now and check myself.
Yeah, it's fine. But now I'm just gonna fuck with you and get one, so that all the old pictures don't have it, but all my new ones do. And you're like, but wait, what? No.
You'd just be proving me right.
Yes, exactly. But I'll be doing it in spite. So who wins that? I don't know.
Now you're gonna get my initial with the wings. I'm
Yeah,
the new
exactly.
rival.
Yeah, exactly. Now I have to convince someone to get a power tattoo on their chest.
Right.
Uh,
Let's say that they're making a movie about you. Every
oh
movie
God.
has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
Oh my God, dude. What is this question? This question is like I have so much, and at the same time I have nothing. Like Jesus. That's a good one. Okay. So I'm like, okay, so obviously like game OSTs, game soundtracks. I'm like going through like 1,000 of them in my mind. My latest entrance theme is from Tekken, so I'll probably have something from Tekken, Tekken 6. I don't know if you know much about that soundtrack, but like I would take like Electric Fountain from Tekken 6.
Okay.
I love drum and bass. I love liquid drum and bass especially, and that song is both that and it's also just like, it's really like thumpy and like you cannot not dance to it or move around or head bob or head so probably that. But if I'm gonna go with like more contemporary music for that, Jesus. Maybe Money for Nothing by Dire Straits
Okay.
is one I would take, and that's just because that's like a childhood like nostalgia of mine. My dad used to listen to a lot of rock, and he used to be in a band, and so I listened to a lot of Deep Purple and Dire Straits and all that stuff, and the Money for Nothing music video is like this CGI from like the early 90s that kind of just like resonated with me, and it has like a little bit electric, a little bit of rock, so probably that. And like, what can I choose as my third one? Holy crap. Damn, man, you really stumped me with this one. Now I'm just like, maybe I would say, what would I say? Maybe like the Death Note opening. Just because like I feel like all three of those answers encompasses something in my life that has been really like tremendous, like drum and bass, the electronic scene, the rock and roll like from Dire Straits and the electronic from that, but also like my passion in like anime and the good music that comes from that as well. So I'd probably say those three. But if you ask me, if your next question is where would you fit that in the movie, I will have like a seizure right now, just trying to think of how I would fit that in. But yeah, I think those three are probably the ones I would choose.
Now, are we talking the first theme of Death Note or
Yes.
the second one?
Yes. No. Just the first.
Okay.
Just the first.
Because the first one was a banger, didn't necessarily like the second one.
No, and yeah, I think you heard from my like intonation of my voice that I'm not a huge fan of anything past season 1 in Death Note. So
yeah,
pretty much I feel like when spoilers, by the way, for anybody that's listening, when L it passes away, or Laito, when he passes away, that's kind of like where it ended for me.
I mean, the show ended when Blake died. So.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but that happens much later.
Right.
Yeah, but like the Nell or Mello or Melon or the kids, oh man, like why would you take away like such a good character, an iconic character in L, and then like then just have like these two side characters just to kind of like elongate the show? I was just kind of disappointed in that. There's actually a secret like ending. Like they had actually they made like an alternative ending that happens right after L dies, where Kira is winning. Kira wins, and that's how it should have ended. I can send it to you if you haven't seen it, but like
I don't think I have.
when it, oh my, yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. It's like officially like they made that season, they ended it, they had that ending, and then when they decided to change it and have it like this other season, they scrapped that ending, but the ending exists still, and it's fully animated and voiced and everything. I was like, why they didn't go with this is beyond me. So I'll send you the video later if you're interested.
Honestly, I prefer the way it ended. Simply for the fact that Rio told Light in the first episode, "This ends with me putting your name in my death note," and he made good on that promise, and that's how it ended.
Very true.
And through the whole thing, it's only like 34 episodes or something like that.
Yeah.
And I can actually forgot about that little tidbit at the beginning. So when he called back to it, I was like, "Fuck yeah, he did say that."
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I was like, I maybe it depends also like which team you're on. If you're Team L or Team Kira, I was Team Kira all the way. So maybe that's why I like this alternative ending a bit more.
I get that, but I'm Team L.
Yeah,
Team
that's
L,
fair enough.
Team Neo, Team whoever takes down Kira.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair enough. I have had many long and tenuous arguments with friends that were on the opposite side, and yeah, I understand all the reasonings, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just a heel. That's why.
The way that I look at it is, you could justify, who he killed and how he killed them in the series, and you could maybe say, "Oh, well, maybe his methods are bad, whatever." But the agent, his wife that went to look for him, the way that he killed her so brutally did not need to be that way. And after that episode, I immediately turned and I said, Light is not a good person.
No. I mean, he's not a good person. He's not a good person, but it's like, but I think it's fascinating when you have characters that are like so justified in their evilness that they see themselves as the hero.
Right.
And there's something in that just is really fascinating and interesting. And so you kind of build a what's it called, an understanding of the character and like some like maybe not sympathy, but like some empathy for them, even though they're like completely not justified in any realistic way. But it's just kind of fascinating. I think that's kind of like one of the shows where there is like that justification and you're following him the whole time. Right. So I thought it was really, really cool and interesting.
It definitely was, and I completely understand. Where you're coming from.
Yeah, great show.
We totally got off.
Sorry, we went back to anime again.
Now that we have the soundtrack down, then we write the script, and then we go to casting. Who plays Kenzein? And you can't say yourself because you are obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Okay. All right. So okay. Can you repeat the question again, just so that
in your movie, who will play you? And you can't say yourself because you will be making a cameo like Stan Lee.
Sure.
Anybody past or present, CGI notwithstanding.
Right. Okay. Someone that plays me. I would say just because of the absolute nuclear heat that this character would get, and I feel like it's kind of in the same ballpark of like where Kenzein the character was or is. I would say maybe like Logan Paul. and not for any reasons because I don't personally enjoy Logan Paul, but I think like just getting that kind of online persona and getting him into wrestling and just being like this absolute douchebag, which was kind of like the partly inspired by, I suppose, if you want to call it that, for Kenzein. So I'd probably say that and absolutely get wrecked by people hating that suggestion. But that's fine by me. Yeah, I think that would be probably good. But then, obviously you would have to have like that redemption arc or whatever, and I don't see that ever happening with Logan Paul. So you just got to take the good with the bad in that decision.
It ends one way, but then there's an alternate ending.
Yes, exactly. You might not be a fan of him, but you might have some empathy. No, you won't. No, you won't.
Now, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you in your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
Okay. So I think obviously we got to go with like Marcus and Alice Inc. Those two have been very very important people in my wrestling growth, and I probably have to take someone British for Marcus. Or like, you know what? I'd probably like say like Ewan McGregor for Marcus of Man, just because of like the Obi-Wan Kenobi vibe, like like the master and the student kind of thing, or the Padawan. So maybe that for Marcus, I would probably choose Ewan McGregor. For Alice, who would I choose for Alice? Some cool ass person, martial artist person that I cannot think of right now. I made this harder on myself than I needed to. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, maybe like Trinity. What's her name? The one that plays Trinity in the Matrix. Geez, what's her name?
What is her name?
I'm gonna beat myself over for not knowing this. Is it okay if I Google a little bit?
Yeah.
Carrie Ann Moss. That's her name.
There you go.
Carrie Ann Moss. Because just of her like badass, she can do kung fu. She's also like very she's a very pivotal character in the Matrix. Is my favorite movie, so I think that would fit. And a third person, who would I choose for that? Maybe like Ozzy Miller.
Okay.
Because him and I are like really like we're close, and we just like try to make each other laugh all the time. So he's like, I would say for Ozzy, probably like some Dane Cook, the comedian Dane Cook, because he's just kind of like he's a really goofy guy, and he's really funny, but also like incredibly talented. And yeah, just anytime we hang out, we just have a good time. So
Dane Cook would probably get you more heat than Logan Paul at this point.
Maybe I would say like when Dane Cook probably started, yeah. But I think people have kind of like opened up a bit more, because he used to just be like this weird guy, but like I think he's probably matured a little bit. But I completely understand your thought process. He was the Logan Paul of the comedy world for a long time.
Yeah, I think he still is, honestly.
Really? I haven't seen Dane Cook's stuff in like ages. Like I was a fan of his, and then I was like, yeah, I think people are overreacting a little bit.
Don't
but
quote me on it, because like my friend told me, my co-host told me what Dane Cook is doing. Apparently, like, he stole some jokes, and it kind of got him blacklisted somehow.
Oh, okay.
And now
Oh, okay.
he's a Twitch streamer where he doesn't respond to literally anybody.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, so how the mighty have fallen. I had no clue about that. Obviously, don't steal jokes. That's not just not good to do in comedy. And I mean, there's so many comedians. Carlos Mencia is probably the biggest one, and that has been stealing and was openly challenged by Joe Rogan. So I thought that whole thing was hilarious. I'm a huge stand-up comedy fan as well. So yeah, don't steal jokes, don't steal gimmicks, don't steal moves if you can. Don't steal, just in general. That's bad. Yeah. But I think at least I'll say, like, for Dane Cook, I'll just take my interpretation of how Dane Cook was when I for Aussie. And then if that doesn't fit the current status quo, that's fine.
No, that's completely fine.
Yeah.
It's like saying Will Smith pre-slap.
Exactly. Gotta loved him in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. After that was kind of like So post Fresh Prince is I think during Fresh Prince, that's when Will Smith was absolutely great.
Well,
and then obviously in Russia, and all the movies as well.
It does sound like an incredible movie, and you could pre-order the tickets now.
Oh, great. Do we have a producer already?
Yes.
Is Wrestling with Entertainment producing the movie?
We are one of the producers. You are one of the producers.
Okay.
We have some of the biggest producers in all of the world.
Because as a producer, I don't have a lot of high hopes for the production. But I mean, yeah, let's do it. Let's go all in.
All right. Now, you are from Sweden, so I do have one Swedish exclusive question for you, and that is Sweden's greatest national treasure ABBA?
I think it's Sweden's greatest export. Yeah, I think so. Like I like ABBA like the next person, but I'm not like a huge diehard of ABBA. It's just more of like background noise to me that I remember and enjoy, like from when I was younger. But I mean, I think ABBA is probably what Sweden is most known for. That and IKEA, and maybe Swedish meatballs. So there's your top 3 Sweden facts, I suppose. Yeah, but I'm originally not Swedish, so for me, like the Swedish, like I've lived here most of my life, but there's a lot of Swedish inside stuff that I'm not privy to because it's just not part of like how I grew up. So a lot of times there's Swedish people talking about like something that they watched on TV or some celebrities or whatever, and I'm none the wiser about that. So. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Right. On to the most controversial of subjects. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Just hearing it is like, it just sounds absolutely horrendous. But I haven't given it a try. And I'm completely up for trying it, but I will not put down my own money and purchase a pineapple pizza. I will try a slice, so I'm not completely against the idea. What I'm more offended by, honestly, is people that eat banana curry on pizza. That, to me, is I don't think I would even try, let alone like be in the same room with someone that has curry and banana pizza. And sorry, James, if you are someone that likes it, and if you are, then I'll just end this interview right now because, God damn it, the Digital Demi God does not sit and eat pizza with curry and banana. He eats it with vegetables and béarnaise sauce and only the best ox cuts available, because that's what the influencer does. That's what the winfluencer is. But pineapple on pizza, I don't think you should mix sweets and savory. So nah, not for me.
Alright. What's your spirit Pokemon?
Oh, Psyduck, maybe, or I mean, my favorite one was always Scyther. But maybe more. I think I'm more of a Psyduck than I am a Scyther, because Scyther's cool, and Psyduck is kind of just, you know. But you know what I like about Psyduck is that like the reason why he's like so. Like, he has a constant headache all the time. Like, in lore, he has a headache, which is why he holds his head. But he has a headache because he's so powerful, but he can't contain it. So his like head always hurts because he's psychic, obviously. So I kind of like that kind of duality of Psyduck. He's just like this silly little duck that just says Psyduck, and then just like walks around like whack whack. But then like in his mind, he's also like one of the most powerful. So I kind of like that.
Hey. Now, we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. Do you know the acronym for THUG? THUG.
Tug? T. Oh, do you say T or D?
THUG. THUG.
Thug. Oh. No. But I'm guessing. Yes, please.
T is for terrible. H is for hell. U is for ugly, and G is for jail, because a dog can't spell.
Right. Fantastic. Yeah.
We love the late great Tracy Smothers, trying to keep the memory alive on the show.
Absolutely a legend.
Absolutely. Weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully. Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical Rock.
I mean, I think that there is entertainment in anything that you can put entertainment to. And just as people can wrestle a sex doll in Japan, and some people say they can wrestle brooms, I mean, if you put a face on anything, people are going to find empathy in it. So, I mean, I could definitely try to put over a Rock if that's what you're asking me. Is this like a booking opportunity? Like, because I'll take it, man. I'll take it. Is it a Rock? A big Rock? Small Rock? I'll take it. Doesn't matter. No, but for sure. Why not? Like, wrestling is an art form of entertainment, and it's supposed to be everything and nothing. And so why not wrestle a Rock? But if you put like an eyebrow on the Rock, on the Rock as the Rock, then that might make people like pop. So, there's an idea for any promotion, I suppose.
Well, just for context, there is a wrestler named Psycho Mike that indeed wrestled a Rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks. Okay.
Well, I would have said I was surprised, but honestly, I'm not. It's what it is. It's wrestling.
What?
The people that take wrestling too serious, I think there's a space for that, and I think it's definitely warranted. But I think you should also like let your hair down a little bit, because we're doing something that's ultimately for entertainment, and entertainment isn't set in stone, pun intended. It's subjective, right? So
right.
Cool stuff. Great trivia, by the way. Thanks for that. I have to Google that like immediately now.
I'll send
as
you,
soon as
I'll send you
yeah,
the match.
please. Cool. I'll send you the Death Note alternate ending. Do trade off.
Shout out to Von Vertigo. If you're listening, book the man against the Rock. He said he'll do that.
For sure. Hey, I mean, like that stuff goes viral, and if it goes viral, you got a good shot of like being booked in other places as well, I guess. I mean, like, who doesn't want to be the guy that like is known online for wrestling a rock or any kind of inanimate object, you know?
Right.
I mean, for Christ's sake, there was a completely, what was it? I think it was the Invisible Man versus the Invisible Stan match, I think it's called.
Yeah.
That's an absolutely fantastic match, if you ask me. If you ask, maybe some older, people that have podcasts about wrestling online, they probably would not enjoy that, but I find it hilarious.
On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That's a really good question. It's a question that I've asked myself, and I don't really know the answer. Just because I think 5 years ago when I started, I didn't see myself where I am now, and so it's hard to like put that into like a perspective of like where I am now in my wrestling career and where I'll be in 5 years. We'll see. I'm hoping that I continue to grow and evolve. I hope that like when I first started wrestling a few years ago, like when I came back, I weighed like near 100 kilos, and I've in 1 year lost almost 25 of that. So I'm going to try to work on myself, work on my body, work on my cardio, work on my character. I've already have a lot of new moves in my repertoire. Constantly gaining new like abilities just because of trying out new things. So yeah, man, I don't know. Like I would say like whatever progress I've made in the past 5 years up until now, I foresee that happening, times 2. Like I've added a multiplier of that to my growth, and I'm hoping in 5 years' time that I'll be wrestling in other countries in Europe as well, and experiencing the kind of road life a bit more. But obviously, because I have a child, I need to find that balance of personal and the professional wrestling life.
Right.
And maybe someday I'll bring my daughter with me to one of those road trips if it's kid friendly, obviously, so she can experience that and we can have something we can do together. Yeah, I think that's probably the answer I'll go for.
All right. And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what you are all about?
So I'm a huge proponent of like you're only as good as your last match kind of thing.
Right.
So like I would push people to go see the match I had maybe against Ozzy Miller at the Freedom Pro Wrestling show. That should be up on YouTube. We had that about like a month ago, and I feel like every time I go out, I learn something new about myself, or I try something new, and that I feel like adds to my character. So I'm not someone that when I look back at my older matches, I kind of look at everything that I could have done better. But not that I'm like regret them or anything like that. I feel like every match gets you to closer and closer to like where you want to be.
Right.
So I see all those matches as like learning experiences and stuff, and for me to grow but like now I feel like I've honed my craft more. So like every show that I do, I feel like I've tried to push myself a bit more. There's also a match that I had in Slaktkyrkan for Stockholm Wrestling where I faced off with two Finnish folk, Nico Lukinen and Nico Lukinen and Arthur Arder, and we had a 3 stages of hell match. And that was super fun to work with those 2 guys, but also we got to do a lot of stuff inside and outside the ring. I pushed my body a lot in that match, and I tried to show a lot of my character work there, and not only that I can just do singles and tags and death matches. I can do 3 stages of hells. I can do like any match you put me into, and I will like put myself through hell and back. I'll go through hell and back to make sure the match is fantastic. And that was also a match that I had the pleasure of booking with everyone else. So yeah, probably those 2 matches I would push people to take a look at.
You said that we could find the first one on YouTube. Can we find the second one on YouTube as well?
I believe so. They should be on. I can send you all the links, but there should be either on svensklivsporter.se, which is the streaming platform that Stockholm Wrestling uses, or they could be on YouTube as well in Stockholm Wrestling's YouTube channel. But you'll also be able to hear my voice in those videos because I also do commentary for Stockholm Wrestling. So I have many hats on the shows. So I literally will have a match, or I will start off the show, do commentary, then during a break go back, change into my gear, go through think about everything, and then go back out, be the character, do my match, then run back, then put on my commentator gear back on, and then come out and continue doing commentary for the rest of the show. So usually I'm pretty exhausted. My voice is shot and my body's tired and stuff, but it's fun.
Right. If they are indeed on YouTube, I will find them and put a link to the matches in the video below, both on YouTube and Castbox.
Sure.
For anybody that hasn't seen them, wants to see them, wants to re-see them after this interview.
That's very nice of you. I'll try to help you find them as well.
Oh, that's greatly appreciated.
Cool.
And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of the... This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Oh, okay, sure. Hang on. I gotta sit properly for this one, I feel. All right. I hope this doesn't go as badly as me having to think for half an hour about characters that would play me, but we'll go with it. Let's go. Let's do it.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Of all time, I just gotta go with Kenny Omega, I think. Just because, Kenny's he's fantastic. I love Kenny Omega, and he's also a nerd. And every show, or I think him and Okada is probably one of my favorite matches of all time. So, 100%.
Worst wrestler.
Worst wrestler of all time.
Yes.
Oh God. Val Venus or Disco Inferno.
Your main event in WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Logan Paul.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
You know TJP when he was in NXT?
Yes.
I'd probably choose that one.
Okay.
It's very chiptune-y, very gamey.
8-bit.
Yeah, very 8-bit. So probably that one. It's not my favorite song, but I think it would fit.
Finish the sentence. K-Babe is...
a great freaking movie.
We would have also accepted taste great on toast.
Oh, okay. Or wouldn't you say like is a director for some weird WWE event or whatever?
Squash.
Oh.
Fruit or vegetable?
Vegetable.
It is indeed a fruit.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, because it has seeds on the inside, isn't it?
Yes. Tomato logic.
Yeah. Damn. I felt good on that one, but
New Japan wrestler Taichi, his ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
I don't necessarily believe that there is a limit. like I mean, you know, it just kind of depends on who. I mean, like if I was wrestling someone, maybe like would be nice if they had like a kind of a full trunk situation. But I mean, if it's funny, I'm just gonna go with that's like 10%. If we're gonna use percentages, like it should cover 10% at the absolute minimum.
All right.
Yeah.
The last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
Darby Allin?
Yes.
I haven't. I don't think I want to scare people away. And just for the reason of that, I love talking about wrestling with people that don't watch it. And there's a way to ease people into wrestling that isn't immediately like frightening them away. So whenever I talk to people about wrestling that aren't familiar with it, I don't necessarily bring up the sex doll matches. I don't necessarily bring up what's it called, Katie Vick, or any like controversial stuff. I just kind of, and I mean like Darby Allin is fantastic, but I think if anything, they would maybe put them off. So don't think I've ever had a conversation about that.
And that is the correct answer.
Great. I actually have spoken about a match in a supermarket, Stone Cold versus Booker T. So I've spoken about yes, I've talked about a match in a supermarket, but not been in a supermarket talking about wrestling.
Well, it has it's specifically Darby Allin.
Yes. Oh, okay. It must be Darby Allin.
Yes, it must be Darby Allin.
Okay.
We've all had conversations in the supermarket about pro wrestling, but we've never had a conversation about Darby Allin in a supermarket.
In a supermarket. Well, you know, someone's gonna maybe buck that trend. I'm sure. Well, you just got to keep asking until it happens.
Well, that's me and my co-host. We've gone into supermarkets and asked random people if they knew who Darby Allin was.
I see.
Yeah.
And so far you haven't come up with any positive. No. One day. Keep fighting the good fight.
Some guests have. I will say that.
Okay.
Some people have, but us personally, we have not found one in the wild.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the wild is it's a wild thing. You gotta. I'll cross my fingers and hope that you do find that eventually.
And that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been an absolute blast. Super fun.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And once again, where can we find you on social media?
So you can find me on primarily Instagram at Kenzein_pro wrestler. And if you're really patient and really want to see what I'm playing, you can find me on Twitch /Kenzein. find me there. I'm sure if I ever get any other socials, I'll link them all from Instagram or whatever. But I'm what you say, kind of. I'm not like that. I'm not very social media-y, if that's the verbiage. So everything I'm doing, you'll find on my Instagram, Kenzein_pro wrestler.
And you don't have to type it into your Google machine. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox, simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Give him a damn follow.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate the plug and you having me here. This was really fun. Getting to know all your nerderies as well, and maybe some people get to learn a little bit of mine, and maybe they'll find something relevant. Hey, if you're a guy that really likes games and you've ever thought about doing wrestling and you're just like, nah, it's not for me because I'm a nerd, and who would want to have that? Hey, I'm the living example of an anime gaming fan that's kind of trying to make it. So don't give up on that.
And there's a bunch of us out there, to say the least.
100%.
Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment on YouTube and Castbox. This was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Join us tomorrow as we interview Jin Melancholy, and join us every Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews. Follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on X, Thread, and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, when I say Wrestling With, you say entertainment, okay?
Sure.
For our very special guest Kenzein, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling With
Entertainment.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.